My brothers and sisters, may the Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Mary Magdalene stayed outside the tomb weeping, and as she wept, she bent over into the tomb and saw two angels in white sitting there, one at the head and one at the feet where the body of Jesus had been. And they said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "They have taken my Lord, and I don't know where they laid him." When she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus there, but did not know it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for?" She thought it was the gardener and said to him, "Sir, if you carried him away, tell me where you laid him, and I will take him." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said to her, "Stop holding on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and tell them, I am going to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary went and announced to the disciples, "I've seen the Lord," and then reported what he had told her. The Gospel of the Lord. In the Vatican Museum, there are a series of tapestries that were done in the 17th century during the reign of the Barberini Pope Urban VIII. And one of the tapestries depicts the scene we just heard in the Gospel today. Mary encounters Jesus and thinks, first of all, that he's a gardener. And in the tapestry, it shows Jesus with a hoe in his hand, with a big straw hat on his head to protect himself from the sun. And of itself, that sort of is a unique kind of image of us for seeing what Jesus looks like. And of course, we see from this point on, following the resurrection event, Jesus comes in many different ways. He shows himself in ways that become part and parcel of the church's experience. In a couple of days, he will encounter those servants on the way to Emmaus, and in turn, they recognize him in the breaking of bread. And today, specifically, she recognizes him when he speaks her name and the relationship that existed between them. By knowing who she was, she in turn comes to know who he is. These ways of Jesus showing himself to us we sometimes take for granted, and yet for the church and for each of us, this moment of faith during this Easter season is a time to remind us of that. When we gather here and hear the scriptures, we are encountering Jesus. When we sit at this table and we are nourished by the Eucharist, we are meeting Jesus. And sometimes in the quiet and silence of our hearts as he speaks our name, we understand who he is again. Let us be mindful of that presence of the Lord in so many different ways. At the same time, once again, witness ourselves in our mission to show others who he is. The other element in the gospel today, which is sort of interesting following the resurrection event, is that in the gospels themselves over and over again, Jesus speaks about the unique relationship that exists between him and the Father, and he's always just talking about my Father. Well, all of a sudden, following the resurrection event, even before those apostles asked for forgiveness for the times they doubted and for the times they betrayed, he says to Mary, "Tell him your God and my God is here. Tell him your Father and my Father is here." A whole new relationship happens as a result of the resurrection event between all of us as part of the new creation. Today, then, when we pray that prayer, the Lord's Prayer, let us be mindful again of how intimate that means to us, of the relationship we have with God in our lives.